The year is 1999. Welcome to Littleton, Colorado, a quiet little suburb in the heart of America, the birthplace of South Park. It was completely turned upside down, but we'll get to that in a moment. For now, America was a great place to be. Everybody was excited for the 20th century. 9/11 was 2 years away, and Columbine High School, just a good little place for our children. Until two troubled students made the ultimate decision.
Jefferson County 911.
Yes, I am a teacher at Columbine High School. There is a student here with a gun. He has shot out a window. I believe one kid.
We were just all sitting there in the library, and then they just started, all you hear is like firecrackers, and then I looked out the window, and there's a kid with a trench coat and a shotgun throwing pipe bombs in the parking lot, and then he shot a girl outside.
Put down under the table, kid! Heads under the table! Kids are screaming. I'm a teacher.
April 20th, 1999. At 6 in the morning, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold went bowling. They were just taking the bowling class for physical education credit. They didn't really care for the sport and mostly just fooled around. After bowling, they went to Columbine High School. They were both seniors there. They walked inside the school cafeteria with 2 duffel bags and put them under a table and returned to their car. And at 11:17 a.m., when the propane bombs they placed failed to explode, they entered the school armed to the teeth with a high-capacity pistol, 2 shotguns, and a rifle. A small group of students saw the pair and walked on, laughing, thinking the guns were props part of a senior prank. They were the first victims.
What sounded like firecrackers, and so we looked over and we saw some guys with guns creeping around a corner, and we thought it was like a senior prank or something, so we just kept watching to see what they were going to do.
When the gunfire stopped less than an hour later at 12:08 p.m., 15 were dead, 24 injured, and Eric and Dylan had shot themselves. So what made Eric and Dylan do what they did? The media pounced on an explanation. The public wanted one. Everyone pointed to the usual suspects.
Fear, anger, helplessness.
Bullies, prosecutors say.
Computer and video games under fire because of graphic violence and sexual themes.
Relentless activity.
Why wasn't anyone blaming bowling for warping the minds of Eric and Dylan to commit their evil deeds?
Violent video games the boys played before going on their real-life rampage.
Violence in video games has
the thrill of victory.
Drugs. Shock rocker. Marilyn Manson.
Violent video games. Do violent video games have an adverse effect on the players?
Violent movies.
Dodge this.
Angry, heavy metal, subculture.
Entertainment.
Satan.
Video games.
Television.
Cartoons.
Film. Society.
Toy gun.
South Park. Marilyn Manson.
Everybody want to know what the kids was listening to. What kind of music was they listening to? Or what kind of movies was they watching? Who gives a what they was watching?
The video game industry.
Where were the parents?
Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson has canceled the last 5 dates of his U.S. tour out of respect for those lost in Littleton. But the singer says artists like himself are not the ones to blame.
But what about inside the school? Analysis of Columbine reveals a power much more influential than Marilyn Manson or video games or bowling: the students. Forget about the Breakfast Club or Fast Times. Student interviews and investigations revealed that Columbine was a community of oppression.
I get picked on by bastards who hate me, and the principal's a dick.
Jocks, cheerleaders, and socias commanded the top, while goths, nerds, and outcasts rotted at the bottom. Eric and Dylan were the perfect example of the very bottom of the social ladder, and as a result were subject to harsh bullying by the jocks. They felt trapped and vented on their websites, which were full of rants and attacks. The internet was in its infancy, so no one noticed, but Eric and Dylan were, in essence, ticking time bombs. But what made Eric and Dylan different from the others? After all, it's just like advocate Joan Burton said, lots of kids are angry and feel disaffected, but they don't go to blow their classmates away. So why did Eric and Dylan do just that? Some believe it was because they were psychotic. In fact, Eric did have a history of mental illness. Dylan, on the other hand, did not. There's a psychiatric syndrome called folie à deux, French for madness shared by two, which may explain how Eric's delusions may have passed over to Dylan and strengthened both their resolves. Other school shootings were isolated, impulsive incidents carried out by a single student, but Eric and Dylan had each other, and combined with the toxic social climate of Columbine, their easy access to weapons, the blind eye of the school administrators, and their own anger, they were able to methodically plan for a whole year. Using instructional books like The Anarchist's Cookbook and internet videos, they built 99 pipe bombs and tested propane bombs. In fact, Columbine was not intended as a shooting, but rather a mass bombing, and if Eric and Dylan had wired the 2 propane bombs in the cafeteria correctly, there would have been over 600 casualties. They also were able to easily get guns through friends and local gun shows, powerful weapons like the high-capacity Tech 9 and the Ruger Mini 14, and 2 other shotguns. They even bragged on their website that they would inflict the most deaths in US history. Eric and Dylan wanted something far more than fame and attention, though. According to Dave Cullen, author of Comprehending Columbine, they wanted to create a nightmare to permanently align their names with infamy in front of the world. 15 dead and 24 wounded later, they got what they wished for. After Columbine, a wave of panic and fear spread across American school districts. It seemed everyone became that much more afraid of teenagers.
And I got in the elevator, right? I'm getting in the elevator, and these 2 high school white boys tried to get on with me. And I just dove off. I said, y'all ain't killing me. I am scared of young white boys.
With panic came debate, and with debate came policies. Some of these were successes. Schools now have more anti-bullying programs and have invested more in counselors and psychologists. Police policy was improved due to Columbine as well. When gunmen are reported, police were previously trained to set up a perimeter to surround the area and wait for SWAT. Now they are trained to move towards gunfire and ignore the injured in an effort to neutralize the gunman as quickly as possible. This tactic was first implemented in the Virginia Tech Massacre. Police even ignored a sign on a chain door warning of a bomb.
As this student's appearance demonstrates, having a lax policy about dress makes it easy for a student to conceal a weapon and makes it difficult to identify intruders on campus. A dress code can reduce weapons violations, relieve tensions between gangs, reduce disciplinary infractions, and generally improve the atmosphere of the school. Our policy requires that students tuck in their shirts, making the belt line visible at all times. Our students may not wear baggy pants or colors and insignias that are commonly associated with gang activity. This policy was a collaborative effort between the parents, teachers, and administrators in this community.
The tragedy of Columbine led to success and triumph, but with success comes failure. Zero-tolerance policies implemented by several school districts in panic have caused unnecessary and harmful controversy. These policies prohibit and punish any behavior remotely deemed threatening or violent, and have repeatedly overstepped common sense.
Boy was suspended for 10 days for bringing a nail clipper to class. That's a weapon, his school said.
An elementary school suspended a first grader for pointing a chicken strip at a teacher in the cafeteria. The 8-year-old was fooling around with a friend at lunch last week when he pointed a breaded chicken finger at a teacher and then said, "Pow, pow."
Pointed a folded piece of paper like this one, shaped like a gun, and told his classmates he was going to kill them during a game of cops and robbers.
All around the nation, a wave of panic slammed its way into the schools. Surveillance cameras, metal detectors. Some schools even distributed mandatory clear or mesh backpacks for their students. Student lockers were also removed so kids couldn't hide their guns. Security guards were hired, dress code was tightened. And nothing happened. Today, high schools are different. There is less bullying, social outcasts worry less about getting beat up in locker rooms. Adults are more concerned than ever about the safety of their kids. But Columbine has shown that a few people can still slip through the cracks. Each time a tragedy like this happens, we become shocked because our seemingly foolproof safety net failed. But each time we are also shocked at how blatant the warning signs were. Pretty ironic. No matter how much we try, the question of another Columbine is unfortunately not one of if, but when. But maybe we can be more prepared. Maybe we can understand Eric and Dylan.